think they realized James Harden was as good as he is now, right?
That's correct. To be fair, I don't know if anyone did. We put all our assets in to trade for him, but no one could anticipate he'd be the best player in the world. Like,
why did you put all your assets? Why him?
So both the eye test, because he looks amazing. I think anyone watched him, but if you looked at data at the time, once he had the ball in his hands, and it's still true to this day, and I get a lot of shit because someone asked me who's a better scorer, him or Michael Jordan, and it's just factual that James Harden is a better scorer than Michael Jordan.
Based on the math.
Based on literally, like, you give James Harden the ball.
The rumors were stirring up about a James Harden-Ben Simmons trade during the trade deadline, but it has officially happened because according to Adrian Wojnarowski 21 hours ago, the Brooklyn Nets are trading James Harden to the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks, sources tell ESPN. This trade has been talked about since basically the time I started doing YouTube videos in like October of 2020. And now it has finally happened because we have finally seen a trade where James Harden has been traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. And if you look at Daryl Morey's obsession with James Harden, saying he is a better scorer than Michael Jordan, this is really no surprise. Daryl Morey believes that James Harden is the best basketball player in the world, obviously with his crazy scoring seasons with the Houston Rockets and him being the general manager of the team. So it's just very obvious that James Harden would get traded to a team like the Philadelphia 76ers, especially because him and Joel Embiid are going to have great chemistry together. And of course, because Daryl Morey is absolutely obsessed with this man. I mean, and keep in mind, I do see why Daryl Morey is just so obsessed with James Harden, because there was a time when James Harden was averaging 37 points a game and won the NBA MVP award in the 2018 season. But also with this trade, sometimes you have to look at basketball from a business standpoint. And getting James Harden will not only get the Philadelphia 76ers a ring in the next 3 or 4 years, but it will probably sell them a lot more tickets, so James Harden can make more money and more of the players on the team can make more money. James Harden is having a pretty good season this year, averaging 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists, 41% from the field, 36% from 3, and 87% from the free throw line. So this is a guy who is averaging a double-double and is also averaging almost averaging a triple-double with those 8 rebounds a game. And this is why people say fear the beard. So I think you can see why Daryl Morey has this scary obsession with James Harden. He's one of the best shot creators in the NBA, and like he said, I think anybody would watch James Harden. But the thing I disagree with that Daryl Morey said was that Michael Jordan is not a better scorer than James Harden, and we made a video on that a few weeks ago, but I digress. The point is, I can see why Daryl Morey made this trade for multiple reasons that obviously will have an impact on the Philadelphia 76ers. But then you flip the switch and look at the other side of things from the Brooklyn Nets perspective, where they are getting one of the best players in the league right now, and that unfortunately is Ben Simmons, though, this is a guy who has more of a rocky start to his NBA career. Sure, he won Rookie of the Year in the 2017-18 season, actually the same season that James Harden put the league on notice, but besides that, he has not had a great career so far with the Philadelphia 76ers, even though he has been one of the theoretically best players in the Eastern Conference. But the reason for that is because they have blamed him on this for years now, and it is that Ben Simmons does not yet have a jumper, and I don't think he ever will. Like, Ben Simmons, he always posts a workout video in the offseason of him knocking down half-court shots to show people that he is ready to unleash his jumper, but he never has. And in the NBA playoffs last season, it reached a new low point with him not playing well in the playoffs, but also dropping 5 points in Game 7 versus the Atlanta Hawks. And that was also the game where Ben Simmons passed up a dunk attempt in the fourth quarter because he did not want to shoot free throws because, like I mentioned earlier, Ben Simmons is one of the worst shooters in NBA history. He has made 7 threes in his entire career, so you can see why the Philadelphia 76ers were looking to trade him at the trade deadline, especially because, you guys all know the full story. James Harden was very, very rumored to get traded for Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons had been sitting out this entire season because he was reportedly not mentally ready to play for the Philadelphia 76ers, but apparently he was mentally ready to play for any other team like the Brooklyn Nets. And I can see this from both sides. I mean, he has not been playing for the Philadelphia 76ers because of the Philadelphia 76ers fans turning on him in that series versus the Atlanta Hawks. So that is probably why he's not mentally ready, because the Philadelphia 76ers fans would probably not say very nice things to him. But when you're going to a new franchise like the Brooklyn Nets, they are very ready to get a new player like Ben Simmons who can hopefully impact their team. And the Brooklyn Nets obviously had a player in James Harden, but they did not exactly have a just love relationship with James Harden, because James Harden, as you remember, during COVID would get into fights and would go to clubs with very famous people on the internet. So it was just crazy all around, and James Harden would sometimes not even play games for the Brooklyn Nets. He would get injured consistently. And if he didn't feel like playing, he wouldn't play, just like Kyrie Irving. So they traded James Harden away because of this. But these are both two players who sometimes do not want to play games. So I think no one is really going to win this trade. It's just the same thing. But I think overall the Philadelphia 76ers will win this trade, especially because James Harden is so good at basketball. He acts like it's a side hobby. Not taking anything away from Ben Simmons. He's a very great player. But not playing for almost a year is definitely going to hurt him, because we've seen players from injury or players that just did not play for years, and they got off to kind of a rocky start when they came back. So that's probably going to be the same way with Ben Simmons, especially because we have definitely seen this narrative before with other NBA players like Kyrie. This situation with James Harden and Ben Simmons has gone on for years, but we have to talk about some other players, especially because this video has been going on for 8 minutes, and we have to talk about some other trades, including Kristaps Porzingis getting traded to the Washington Wizards. Kristaps Porzingis is another guy who has had more of a wild start to his NBA career. He was battling with Karl Anthony Towns at one point for Rookie of the Year honors, and then he became an All-Star in the 2017-18 season and really turned it on. Unfortunately, when he got traded to the Dallas Mavericks, people thought that him and Luka Doncic were going to be the next great duo in the NBA, kind of like the Karl Malone and John Stockton of the 2020s. Unfortunately, that narrative did not unfold, as the Dallas Mavericks were stuck in mediocrity, and Kristaps Porzingis really didn't develop from his time in the New York Knicks. And unfortunately, it was really sad. But the thing that he did improve with his time with the Dallas Mavericks was his three-point shot. We knew Porzingis was a shooter, but when he played with the Dallas Mavericks, he would unleash three-point bombs from near the logo. And this got fans really excited about the career of Kristaps Porzingis, but then we needed to come back to reality, as Kristaps Porzingis was obviously not the first option. That was Luka Doncic. And this unfolded in Kristaps Porzingis having some not so great seasons as there was seasons with the New York Knicks, because he would average about 18 points a game for every season he played with the Dallas Mavericks. Pretty obvious that Luka was the first option, considering he was averaging about 28 points per game. So Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis also just did not have a great relationship, and this kind of resulted in this year's trade deadline, Porzingis getting traded. Now, Porzingis is a really, really great player. He's better than like 80% of NBA players right now, which is really, really good. He is one of the league's best stars. Unfortunately, he just doesn't get the credit for it because he just played with a team with a guy that has been having some MVP narratives, and that is Luka Doncic. But going to the Washington Wizards will probably be a fresh start for his career, and this is for a couple of reasons. He's going to a team that has a star player in Bradley Beal, but Bradley Beal has not been having a great season this year, so maybe Porzingis can be the savior for the Washington Wizards and can help them make a playoff push. The other part about it is that Porzingis is going to more of a team that does not have that star narrative, and they are not one of the better teams in the league. They do not have a lot of really, really good players. So if you look at it from that perspective, that's really, really good. But then the Washington Wizards side of the trade was that they traded Spencer Dinwiddie to the Dallas Mavericks. And I also don't really know what to think of this part of the trade. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie was having some great seasons with the Brooklyn Nets, and he has not really returned to that 2019-20 version of Spencer Dinwiddie, but he has still been putting up some pretty good stat lines and is probably better than 70% of the NBA population. So I don't know, this trade is very interesting, probably one of the best trades. And with that being said, that's the end of the trade deadline. To be fair, there were a few more prominent trades, with Montrezl Harrell getting traded to the Charlotte Hornets, Marvin Bagley going to the Detroit Pistons, and Serge Ibaka on the Milwaukee Bucks. But I didn't have time to talk about all of those, and these were the two more prominent deals, considering it was Porzingis and Harden and Simmons. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Click subscribe, turn notifications on, like, share, comment, all the good stuff. And as always, I'm your bro, Hyper Hooper Basketball, and we're out.